Okay, so after a somewhat disappointing finish, the last ranked draft, we still have gold left over, or thanks to the end of the month rewards for ranked that we're going to head right back in. See if we can't figure something out. Okay. So, not a ton of really exceptional cards. Our rare is pretty average. I really like Castle Vantress, but it's not like a bomb. Spectre Shriek is meh. Kenra's Transformation hasn't really impressed me all that much. I think it's fine. Oakham Ranger's good, but also restrictive. Scorching Dragonfire is good. Probably the best card in terms of power level in the pack. But I think that getting value out of the land slot is really useful. And I enjoy playing blue. So I think that while Vantress and Scorching Dragonfire are probably equivalent in power, and you can never go wrong taking a removal spell, Vantress is what we're going to pick here. Everything else is kind of mediocre, but we'll see. I'm also going to keep a mental note of what's what wheels. See if that tells us anything. Some stuff to look out for. Wheeling might be the transformation of the Oakham Ranger, the So Tiny, the Scorching Dragonfire, maybe. Like, if we see those wheel, might be a signal of some sort. But for now, Castle Vantress. Moving on. Okay, got a few good cards here. Probably going to follow up the Castle Vantress with the Charm Sleep. Order Midnight is really good. It's probably... Charm Sleep and Order Midnight, in my mind, are tied for the best cards in the pack. Fireborn Knight, obviously, is really strong, but the restrictiveness of the mana is something you want to consider, so we're not going to take it. And I think Charm Sleep, following up the Castle Vantress, nice. Probably gives it the slight edge over the Order of Midnight. The longer we can stay monocolor, the better, and Charm Sleep is an excellent card, so we'll take that here. Okay, well, probably one of two choices here. We have Revenge of Ravens and we have Scorching Dragonfire. Revenge of Ravens is just really good. They do work. It do work. If we're in like a blue-black, more dirtily deck, a Revenge of Ravens would be nice to take the edge off if, we don't have a lot of creatures and they are playing a lot of creatures and we want to slam something down to mitigate. Let me turn off the fan on my laptop. Scorching Dragonfire, also really good. Of course. Elite Headhunter is a hybrid card, and it's not even that impressive to me. So I think we're going to take the Revenge of Ravens here. And we'll see. Although the Scorching Dragonfire, it's not, in pick 3, it's not unheard of to see Scorching Dragonfire, but it might be a signal of some sort. Also, Revenge of Ravens is very good, so we'll see what's open here. Alright, so got a Tome Raider in the pack. Really strong blue card. Well, I mean, it's a good blue common. 1/1 flying, draws you a card. It's great stuff. Burning Yard Trader. It's bad without knight. Well, it's fine. It's bad without knights. Spectre Shriek is sideboard card, not good in best of 1. Fairy Godmother is really good. If, like, for example, if this were to wheel, or if this was, like, a lot later, I would consider white being open. Scalding Cauldron is fine, too. Not better than Tome Raider, so we'll take the Tome Raider here. It's a pretty light Cauldron Familiar. Got a Witching Well, but in my experience, Witching Wells wheel like crazy. If we're in, see, taking the Cauldron Familiar here might be better than last time, because our deck actually will get a lot of use out of it. It won't just be like a fringe synergy that never pays off. If we get a Cauldron Familiar and we get like a Giant Skewer, or if we get the Witch's Oven, like that can be a way to win the game if we kind of really slow things down. Witching Well is probably better on power than the Cauldron Familiar, but the the ceiling on the Cauldron Familiar can be pretty high in a really slow matchup, and Witching Well is got a higher floor but a lower ceiling. So we'll take the Cauldron Familiar here. Okay. Some late green cards worth noting. I'm still not impressed enough by Kendra's transformation to, jump ship or anything. So I'll be taking the Opt here. It's a solid card. But the 2 in Veltri Folk I think is also pretty good. When you get it kind of in the middle of the pack, it might say that the bots don't like green as much. We'll take that here. Yeah, starting to get into the chaff. I'll take Queen of Ice. It's got a decent effect, and it's a decent body with a, or the adventure is a decent effect, and the body is decent with a decent effect as well. So definitely better than everything in the pack here. It's pretty light Overwhelmed Apprentice. Probably better than Giant Skewer here, even though I talked about the Cauldron Familiar. This could mean that we see a lot more mill cards from the bots in the future. I didn't see too many Merfolk Secret Keepers, like they didn't wheel or anything, or we didn't see any to wheel. So either the bots are taking them really highly, or, which would be odd if they, if to see this here and the bots are not taking the Secret Keeper. So I'll take that here and we'll kind of see if we get any, not a ton of good stuff. Take the So Tiny. So Tiny's fine. Obviously you want to be in a mill deck to really emphasize it, but I don't hate it otherwise. Well, nothing in our main color or even the color we took a few of. Well, considering I said, oh, I guess last pack, So Tiny wheeled out of that last pack, so maybe it says something. So I did mention seeing a few green cards that were of a power level that I would consider looking at green a little later on. So I'll take the Garenbrig Squire here. I'm not that interested in the white cards, so for the same reason we'll take the Rosethorn Halberd, although it probably doesn't get played unless we ended up with a weirdly green-blue aggressive deck, which I don't think happens very often. It's a very late Fairy Guidemother. I will take it here, and I will consider white back on the table, I suppose. Ginger Brute. Alright, so wow. Okay. Syr Konrad is a great reason to kind of stay in black. Drown in the Luck might wheel. I mean, it's an okay card. Like, naturally, cards do go to the graveyard. Less so in this format, I found, which makes it a little less impressive. Of course, if we're in a mill deck, it would be quite a strong kill spell / counter spell. But Syr Konrad could just win the game. It's an insanely powerful uncommon, and I think that really makes us want to be in black as our second color. Awesome. Okay, passing us Folio of Fancies. So the mill strategy is up. We don't have like a lot of Secret Keepers yet, but the Folio of Fancy is fine by itself. It can win the game if you're in a more controlling strategy. So we'll take it here. Probably just going to take the Reave Soul. I was having a moment where I considered the Thunderous Snapper. The thing is, we are mostly in blue, but I don't think that's good enough to take the Thunderous Snapper here. We also have one card that draws us a card off the Thunderous Snapper. I really do like the Thunderous Snapper, but I found that it could be a little bit tough to like find cards that are 5 mana to trigger it. Like, obviously you play it in any Simic deck, but because a 4 mana 4/4 is fine. But I really expected it to do a lot more. Like, I built a deck in paper like last week, and I had 2 of these things in a Simic deck that like, the goal was to play bigger creatures and, win through that. That didn't end up panning out, but after it's all said and done, like, when I really looked at like the best cards, I had stuff like Merfolk Moonlit Scavengers rather, and like I had a Feasting Troll King, which I of course never drew. And other than that, like it was either I would replace cards at lower costs that, you know, made the deck work better, or I for like a Prophet of the Peak, which is fine but not exciting. So Thunderous Snapper, if your deck likes it, like if you're in a ramp deck that's you've got like 3 Keeper of Fables, and you know you have Feasting Troll King as well, and you have like Beanstalk Giant, like this card just slaps. But I think you have to really have the cards beforehand, or at least have 1 or 2 cards beforehand. And I just don't think, you know, obviously, and I think it's mostly doing stuff in Simic. So, anyways, long story short, we're going to take Reave Soul here. It's good, efficient removal. Wow. Blue's wide open. Probably going to take the Faerie Vandal here. Animating Fairy is pretty awesome. It'd be better if we had, you know, like more Witching Wells and stuff like that. Faerie Vandal's just great card, though. I mean, like, we trigger it off of Opt. We can trigger it off of our Folio of Fancy. We can trigger it off of Tome Raider. We have ways to really get paid off. Speaking of paid off, I haven't seen much for the Cauldron Familiar, but yeah, the Faerie Vandal, definitely the pickup here. It's a great card to see that late. It's a laid out muscle, but I mean, with Syr Konrad, I'm not too interested in green. We also don't have a lot of green so far. I'm not totally sure what we would take. I mean, Steelgaze Griffin probably. It's not a super exciting card, but I mean, hey, it can do something. You know, like it is a way to win the game, I suppose, for us. Like I said, we have, you know, Faerie Vandal, so, and we've got Ops, so we've got the payoffs that could get it to be a 4/4 in the air when it's attacking, but it's a little slow. It's not that interesting. But God, it's such a laid out muscle. I just don't think that we'll make it work. So I don't think we're going to take the Steelgaze Griffin here. Oh, I was about to say we'll just take the Witching Well, but another Reave Soul would absolutely not hurt. You know, with how slow our deck is currently, what we'll die to is a really aggressive strategy. So just having like a 2-mana spell that'll kill like a Rimrock Knight, you know, and Rimrock Knight and cards of that power or that aggressiveness would be pretty nice. And as much as I want to take the Witching Well, you know, it's got Scry and Card Draw, my 2 favorite things in Magic. I think we gotta take the Reave Soul here because I like living more. Wow, I got a lot of late red cards, and I guess maybe with the Faerie Vandal also late. Maybe there was like a red thing open. Sage of the Falls, of course, really good. It is, you know, draw 2 for our Steelgaze, for our Faerie Vandal. It's just a good body. Drawing cards is good. Yeah, definitely the best card here. We'll snap that up really late, seeing that. Okay, take the Moonlit Scavenger here, and then, you know, this lights a fire under us to take Witching Wells. They don't really need reason to. It was just the Reave Soul is better. So I'll take that here, because this is a fine card as well, to just kind of like get a lot of tempo and put a body into play. I've been really impressed by the Moonlit Scavengers, actually. So we'll be taking like Witching Wells and like Golden Eggs a lot higher because of that. Speaking of which, Golden Egg, that's really late. Take another Moonlit Scavenger. Not too excited about a second Steelgaze Griffin. Mystic Sanctuary in a deck that's going to be primarily blue to be able to get back a useful spell, like a kill spell, would be useful. And again, getting value out of the land slot is pretty impressive. So we'll take that here. It'll probably usually go off. Another Opt. Great. Very good. 7 Dwarves. Nah. Wishful Merfolk. Yeah, doubtful. Okay. Interesting. I mean, Sage of the Falls is very powerful, but we already have one, and I don't want the curve to get too high. We already have 3 5-drops. I'm currently kind of looking at Forever Young there. It is, you know, mill prevention in the mirror. We don't have a ton of creatures. Let me count our creatures so far. We have 1, 2, although I'm pretty sure the familiar is getting cut. We'd have to get like Witch's Oven next, in this pack. So we got Overwhelmed Apprentice. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 creatures, and a lot of them are very strong effects, especially later on the curve when you want to use Forever Young. So with that in mind, I think that we want to take the Forever Young, just one at least to prevent us from getting milled out, and worst case scenario, if we get to like an aggro deck and we have nothing going on, things go bad, we can just cycle it. So play Forever Young here. Now Lock Dragon is a card that I will take here to play with our primarily blue deck, because again we've got a couple like Draw-2 payoffs. It's just a good card, 4 mana 3/2 flying, really strong. And yeah, we're gonna be mostly blue, so I don't think we'll be excuse me, struggling too much to be casting this sucker. Worst case scenario, coming down on turn 5 doesn't seem like a terrible fail. Like a terrible floor for this card. So we will snap that up here, and then, just loots us to our good stuff. Is it too late to take Sorcerer's Broom and just build food? Sorry, I'm not actually deliberating on the Sorcerer's Broom. I think that 3rd Moonlit Scavenger is not as good as 1st Reaper of Night. Really good card. Slow format, this can really just really mess somebody up. So we're going to take that here. I'm going to be vigilant of how many black cards we might pick up in this pack for our Lock Dragon, because if it gets to be a more even split, which, I mean, taking this Reaper doesn't make it a really even split, but we might have to just be cognizant of that. But I think this is better than 3rd Moonlit Scavengers. Also, these go really late. Reaper of Night goes a little earlier. They get picked up, so pretty easy Charm Sleep. Good removal. Good in our deck. Mostly blue, so the double blue doesn't really hurt us too much. So I'm going to take that here. Take a So Tiny, same reason. Really late Witchstalker. Oh, well, there's an Improbable Alliance. But also a Merfolk Seeker-Keeper, so, the mill deck generally runs on, having 8 Merfolk Seeker-Keepers that the bots pass you to really just, turbo out your opponent and win the game. But I think that our current strategy, getting the Folio means that we can still win through mill without having to be the 8 Seeker-Keeper deck. Because we got ways to win the game. We have good cards later on too, so we're a little bit more of just kind of a controlling deck. We got 2 Reave Souls, we got 2 Charm Sleeps. We have ways. We got 2 So Tinies, so So Tinies will get a lot better with Merfolk Seeker-Keeper. But just having the 1 here is not a problem. I don't think I play either the 2nd Steelgaze Griffin or the 2nd Forever Young. Yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and take that Forever Young, but I'm going to just slot it inside the board. The Eye Collector I don't think is really what we want to be doing. We're going to have so much blue, and we have a lot of stuff to do with blue on turn 1 that I think that the Eye Collector might be kind of janky in our deck, despite the fact that it kind of mills. It does mill, but it doesn't mill in as aggressive a way you want. So I'm pretty sure it wouldn't make our deck. None of these cards probably will, but I think Forever Young is the best of those 3 there. Tormentor probably will make the deck. That's really late Tormentor. That's cool. Excuse me. Throat is a bit hoarse. I just now, thinking about that, realized that I have tea or hot water in the kitchen. I should probably get that after I'm done here. So we have 3, so it's pick 9, and we have 3 good blue cards that came back to us. I'm I'm considering Runaway Together over the third So Tiny. So Tiny is good if So Tiny gets better if we were in like the Merfolk Secret Keeper version of this deck where we get 8 Merfolk Secret Keepers, because these come down early and you get 1,000,000 of them, and then it's a lot more likely that your So Tiny is like -6, which is really where you do want to be. Whereas with this Folio of Fancies more thing that we have going on here, I feel like a third So Tiny doesn't pay us off as much as like a Runaway Together. A Runaway Together could, for example, like buy back our Merfolk Secret Keeper to activate a So Tiny. It can also buy back, it can be like a removal prevention spell for some of our more, like for our, our Syr Konrad, which would be really important. I think that the flexibility of this card, and we have 2 ops already, so I'm not really thinking about the third one as much right now. So I think that the first copy of Runaway Together is pretty good. We'll take it, especially when it's coming up this late. Not gonna play any of these cards, which is Cottage. Again, we're gonna be mostly blue, so that's probably not gonna be a good idea. Oh, there we go. We'll play Sorcerer's Room. Interesting. In best of 1, I'm thinking I might go for the second Queen of Ice. I'm not sure if it'll make the deck. The thing about Mystic Sanctuary is that if we have even if we're mostly blue, having 2 can be pretty janky, especially because Castle Fantress isn't an island. So that will be our third card that, and I know the Mystic Sanctuary is an island, but, you need to have, if this comes in, if the first one comes in tap, you don't feel that good about the fact that you had a second one. You would much rather have just had an island and then had the one Mystic Sanctuary that's like way more likely to come in untapped. Plus, we do have good. We do have good we do have good instants and sorcery, so it's still in consideration. Opt is fine to buy back. Our removal, so our blue removal is not instants and sorceries, which is the real problem. Our only removal, which is the powerful effect of removing something, is kind of what you want out of Mystic Sanctuary. The only thing we have is Reave Soul, and that's conditional. And that late in the game, we might want our removal to be, we would need our removal to be baked into a pie or unconditional. So the second Mystic Sanctuary might not really buy us back that much. Now it could get Runaway Together, which is fine. Nice to buy that back. You can buy back Runaway Together and buy back Merfolk Secret Keeper again. But again, not sure if it'll make the cut, but I think I'm going to take the now I've really talked myself into a tizzy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black cards. But we also have 2, both our Reave Souls are cards we want to get out. Make sure that we can get out early, so we're not going to do something. We'll probably do like a 10-7, not like an 11-6. I'm deliberating way too long on a almost certainly inconsequential decision. Excuse me. Ooh. I think our instants and sorceries aren't powerful enough to really want the second Mystic Sanctuary that much, so we'll take Queen of Ice here. All right, well, this deck feels pretty good. It's a little bit more in my realm of comfort, I suppose. So we'll see how that does. The cards individually are good. See, maybe I should have taken that Mystic Sanctuary because I'm now looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, I'm probably going to cut this second Queen of Ice. I'm just going to do that right now. But that's okay. I probably would still want to play playing a second Mystic Sanctuary here would be really greedy when we have 8 islands, or it would have been 7 islands and 2 Mystic Sanctuaries. That's pretty greedy, so I don't feel too bad about that. Perhaps a mistake, I guess. Might get rid of the Steel Gaze Griffin. Again, it's fine, and we do have a lot of ways to cantrip. But again, We might win by mill, so we won't feel that won't be that interested in like winning with the Steel Geist Griffin. It's not a very good defensive option. It's quite slow for what you get. You know, like 5 health is a lot better than 4 health. Because this can block a Fierce Witch Stalker. This trace or this chumps a Fierce Witch Stalker, for example. You know, thinking about common monsters that we're afraid of. You know, this can actually chump like Alan. You know, this dies to Alan. You know, so we might take that out. Definitely going to be a 17 land deck, I think, unless we cut like all of our cards up here. We do have a lot. Well, there's Scry, Draw, and Scry. Not considering that draw, really. Draw. Maybe we'll play 16 lands. Oh, how many ways do we have to trigger the Moonlit Scavenger, honestly? We might just play one. Because right now it's just the... Oh, it's just the Golden Anger. Oh, no. It triggers off of enchantments as well. So there's a few ways. I mean, looking at enchantments, if you know, if these are attached to one thing and then we want to bounce another, that's good, of course. Maybe I take out the Revenge of Ravens. Maybe not. Excuse me. Look at the creatures. So we got 12 creatures. This deck currently has more creatures than my last aggro deck, and I think that's why that deck failed, actually. I think I did do quite a bad job drafting creatures. I really didn't. I should have paid way more attention to my creature count, but I was too busy snapping up all the free Reave Souls and the free Scorching Dragonfires, which admittedly probably would have admittedly made that deck a little better, but so if we go down a swamp, so then we're at 10-6. We have one more cut. Actually, do we go down a swamp? Maybe we go down an island, because we have, like, Syr Konrad, we want to hit the Reave Souls early if we can, and we have Reaper of Night. I mean, like, these come down later, so it's a lot easier to, like, you know, have those lands. But, I mean, actually, we have 9 and 7. That's not too bad. I mean, like, we're still pretty likely to be able to, you know, have these things go off early enough when we need to, and we still have this go off early when we need to. And then we can actually cast these later, because, you know, you want to get Syr Konrad down fairly early. Well, if you can, I suppose. Huh. I think we'll cut second copy of Moonlit Scavenger. It's not that impressive. And if we cut the... Oops. Well, while I'm here. Our Lord Fibblethip. You know, I mean, it's good. And, you know, with So Tinies, as long as our targets are not the creatures we So Tiny and Charm Sleep, which is pretty unlikely, you know, we will probably activate this ability. But I'm looking at it right now, and although I could potentially cut Lock Dragon, our deck is a little bit more defensive. Like, you know, we'll excuse me. We probably have a lot more desire to win via like milling with the Folio of Fancy than we do. Although, to be fair, this sifts through our deck. The power on this is kind of undeniable. I mean, I was just looking at it as flying 3/2, which I think was wrong. I think we're correct here. 9 lands versus 7 swamps is a little sketchy for the Lock Dragon, admittedly. We have a lot of card draw though early on, and scry, which makes the land smoother a bit. And I think since, Folio of Fancy being a pretty important card in our deck and a pretty valuable win con, being able to search for it is pretty good. But it seems somewhat unlikely, given the current land base that we have, that we will be casting this guy on turn 4. Like I said, turn 5 is not bad. Turn 6, you're starting to be a little bit like, you're kind of cursing the mana thing. Golden Egg, it's the only copy of Golden Egg we have to kind of smooth that out if we have 3 islands in a swamp, for example. I'm gonna roll with it. I think that I'd rather, because it's the choice between the Lock Dragon and like Moonlit Scavengers. And the Lock Dragon, is just such a good card. Searches through our deck really easily. We have 1 copy of Moonlit Scavenger, which is a good body. Can bounce something. The second one doesn't feel incredible, because generally, like, the scary thing that we want to get a huge tempo advantage on will probably already be locked down with a Charm Sleep or a So Tiny, hopefully. And if we don't have those, this doesn't trigger anyways. The only other thing that would let us trigger it is having the Folio or the Egg out, which is, of course plausible, but we might have sacked the Golden Egg for a reason beforehand, and that would only leave the Folio Fancy. I think that's good. Like I'm still pretty pro Revenge of Ravens because I'm just trying to think because I don't think we don't do a fantastic job of like fending off aggro. We do an okay job of it. But really, if they go super wide on us, being able to play this on turn 4 and just be like, okay, hold on, chill out. You can't attack anymore. Could be good. It also means that, keeping the Lock Dragon in there and even the Tome Raiders means that if we're kind of like pinging them in the air and kind of doing a quote-unquote race thing, that's better. Well, we're gonna keep it as this for right now, and I'll give it some thought, and maybe I'll make some cuts before the first game. But for now, I think this is fine. Too many good cards is a good problem to have, I suppose. Nothing here, no Gingerbrute in this deck, probably not. So yeah, we're gonna roll with this. Why didn't it actually go to Fibblethip? Thank you, and we'll see how this deck actually plays out.